In episode 7, as Juliet looks through the book, right in the front of it, there's a bunch of names written down, and one of them catches her eye. It's the name Gloria. She recognized the name, and when she goes over to the files that she found, sure enough, there is a Gloria. Now, she's never met Gloria, but it is interesting that she's here in the files, and she was interviewed by Judicial. She decides to pack up all the files, including the book, keep it on her, and head out, which is a smart move, because at this point, Sims has gotten to Judicial headquarters, and he's watching her. He doesn't want to act, though. He wants to just keep following her, see where she leads them. When Juliet gets to her office, she looks up Gloria, only to find that Gloria is now in long-term care over in medical. A short time after finding this out, Paul shows up. He starts giving Juliet all the messages that she missed, and one of them is from maintenance, apologizing because they broke her vase when they showed up. And Juliet can't figure out what maintenance was doing. She didn't request anything, so why were they in her apartment in the first place? She questions Paul on it, but Paul says, I don't know how they do things in the down deep, but up here, you learn pretty quickly not to question what maintenance does, or else your toilet doesn't work. And down in the down deep, they're just fix it themselves, so they question everything. The next message she has is from the mayor telling her that he wants to meet with her first thing in the morning, but she brushes it off, telling Paul that she has to do something in the mids, and she'll have to reschedule. When she does head out, she turns her radio off. The thing she has to do is go meet with Gloria. Gloria isn't supposed to have any visitors, but Juliet's badge gets her in the door, and Juliet finds out why Gloria isn't supposed to have any visitors. It's because Gloria has been drugged up for the past 3 years. She's completely unresponsive. She doesn't even know what's going on around her. In her mind, she's on the beach with family. In reality, she's useless. Juliet recognizes this pretty quickly, so she leaves. She knows that if she actually does want to talk to Gloria and find out information, she can't have her in this kind of state. But in order to get her out of that state, she needs clearance from the judge. So she heads to Judge Meadows' office only to find out that Judge Meadows is out that day. She's sick. When Juliet eventually arrives back in her office, it's chaos. Because there was a fight that broke out near one of the bars. It was an absolute shit show, and Juliet was nowhere to be found, even though they were radioing her. It was up to Paul to kind of manage things, and they didn't have a lot on staff. So when Juliet shows up and sees what's going on, Paul grabs her and takes her into her office and starts yelling at her. He's pissed because he knows that the people need a sheriff, and right now they're not getting one. On top of it, he was forced to lie for her when the mayor asked why she didn't show for their meeting. He's completely fed up and demands some answers. So Juliet tells him that George Wilkins was murdered. Just like Marnes, the mayor, and even Doug. She then gets a little emotional while looking at Paul and says, the truth is, I don't know what I'm doing. I came up here to find out who killed George. And the only thing I've learned so far is the fact that the guy I loved used me. But yet, for some reason, I still want to find out what happened to him. I know it's all connected to the other murders and why Holston went out and why his wife went out. So what I need from you is to look the other way as I look into 4 murders and 2 cleanings. Wanting to help, Paul tells her that because they found one of George's relics in Doug's apartment, and that led to opening up a case, it could also lead to reopening George's case. Right before he leaves the office, Juliet asks him, do you know where Meadows lives? And he gives her the address. She's planning on visiting with Meadows the next day. But that night, she decides to pay a visit to her new friend, Lucas. She's actually the first one there. She beats him to watching the stars. And they get to chatting about what Lucas does. He actually works in IT. He knows Bernard, kind of. They then start talking about the stars in the sky and what it all could mean. And Lucas takes that as a sign that he should lean in to kiss Juliet. It's not a good sign because she pulls back, it makes things awkward, and she leaves, and Lucas feels weird. But one of the reasons she is more involved in looking at astrology now is because in that book that she was given, there's a whole section on it about what the stars mean, different constellations. So now at least she kind of has something to go on. The next day, before she goes and visits the judge, she has to go and meet with the mayor. He wanted to meet with her because there's been a threat against him. Not really against his life per se, but you could read it like that. Bernard tells Juliet that after he intervened on Juliet's behalf in the meeting with Sims and Meadows, Meadows didn't like it. So Meadows told Sims that if Bernard were to obstruct in her actions, then she would use some kind of contortion of the pact to remove him. What he's worried about is Meadows possibly hijacking the servers. Coming from IT, Bernard knows what someone could do if they in fact did that, how much power they would have. So what he wants is to find something, along with Juliet's help, to wall the mayor in so she doesn't step outside of her lane. Juliet jumps right into action. After this meeting, she goes and visits with Meadows, and she finds that Meadows is in fact sick and in no mood for visitors, but Juliet doesn't give her an option. She demands to know why Gloria is in this quasi-vegetative state. And at first, the judge doesn't even recognize her name. But when she gets a description of Gloria, she goes, "Oh, yeah, her. It's for her own good." Juliet accuses Meadows of drugging Gloria because she feels like Gloria told Allison Becker something that made her want to go outside. The judge can't figure out exactly why Juliet would even want to talk to Gloria, and truthfully doesn't really care. She even goes so far as to say, "Juliet, I'm not stopping you from talking to Gloria." And that's when Juliet points out, "You're not, but you're prohibiting me from talking to her with a sound mind." Juliet wants answers so badly that she offers Meadows a deal. "If you let me talk to Gloria, not drugged up, then by the end of the week I'll turn in my badge." Meadows looks at Juliet and tells her, "I can't lift the order, and there isn't anything that I can do about it. You need to stop doing whatever you're doing." Juliet shoots back, "I'm not stopping until I find out what I want to know." And Meadows says, "They'll never let you." That really perks up Juliet's ears a bit. She starts questioning Meadows on who is they, but Meadows refuses to answer, telling her just to get out. It's at that moment that Juliet realizes Meadows isn't in power. She's nothing more than a puppet. And that puppet was being watched by possibly the puppet master, because Sims also had a hidden camera in Meadows' apartment, so he saw the whole conversation. When Sims heard that Juliet had visited Gloria in medical, he wanted to see the replayed footage. The problem is, there's a vase full of flowers blocking the camera, so Sims can't see what they're talking about. As Sims tries to dig into what Juliet is onto, Juliet was trying to get help with this whole Gloria situation, and the only person she could think of was her dad. She explains to her dad that she needs to talk to Gloria. She's being drugged against her will, and she needs the drugs to wear off in order to get some answers. Even though this is extremely dangerous and her dad warns her against it, ultimately her dad gives in, not only helping Juliet, but also getting Gloria out of medical into a more secure location, his office. When they do get there, though, Gloria is still in a really, really bad state. Knowing that they don't have a whole lot of time, the doctor does give her something to get her out of this state, and it gets a little dicey, but a short while later, she does come out of it. Juliet right away starts to try to explain to Gloria where she is, who Juliet is, and why Juliet needs to talk to her. Before Gloria can even talk, she gets weirded out because she sees Dr. Nichols show up, and she recognizes him as the guy who wouldn't let her have children. Juliet is shocked by these allegations, but she can't even focus on them because she needs to get the answers from Gloria, so she kicks her dad out of the room. Gloria's mood finally changes when Juliet pulls the book out, and that is something that really jogs Gloria's memory. Gloria explains to Juliet that she gave the book to George's mother, and George's mother was one of us. Juliet doesn't know who us is, and Gloria asks her, "Have you ever heard of the Flamekeepers?" Juliet hasn't, and Gloria says, "Yeah, that's because they erased us. The Silo's been doing it ever since the rebellion. They put something in the water to have our memories fade. They wanted to erase the past and anybody who tried to preserve it. But the Flamekeepers were the people who fought back and kept things, just like this book. I was one of them until they put our flame out. They wanted us to die off so much that they would make us think we had a chance at having a baby, and they would never take our birth control out. They then hear a baby crying, and Gloria asks to hold it, and Juliet agrees. As Gloria's holding this tiny baby, she realizes that she knows Juliet, at least a little bit. She knows her mother. While Juliet's mom wasn't officially a Flamekeeper, she definitely shared the same curiosity. In fact, George's mom was helping Juliet's mom build a magnifying device, one that would have been highly illegal. Gloria goes on to say, "When I found out what happened to your mom, I really felt like we lost one of our own." It's gotten to the point, though, where Juliet has to take Gloria back to medical. Before she does that, she has an intense conversation with her dad about why her dad would go along with not taking birth control out of people who won the lottery. Her dad pleads ignorance. He tells Juliet that he didn't have a say in it. They lied to him. They told him that by not taking the birth control out, he was helping to prevent genetic disease from running rampant. It was nothing about killing off nonconformists. None of that is good enough for Juliet, so she just escorts Gloria back to medical. When she does that, though, she's seen on judicial's cameras. Now that Sims knows where they are, he wants to know where they came from. As Sims looks into it, Gloria asks Juliet to see the book one more time. After flipping through it, Gloria notices that her flowers are gone, the ones that were in front of the mirror. This jogs a memory of Sheriff Holston coming over to her place. He's the one who brought the flowers and put them in front of the mirror. And that's when Juliet remembers the note that Holston left her about the mirrors. And she realizes that those mirrors probably go two ways. She tells Gloria that she's pretty sure they have a camera behind the mirror. That's why Holston put the flowers there. Juliet knows she needs to get out of there because if this is true, then it's only a matter of time before Judicial shows up. But right before she leaves, she asks Gloria if Holston did anything else. And Gloria says he spent most of the time over there in the vent. When Juliet goes over and pops off the vent, she finds the drive. All of this is being watched by Sims and Judicial. They know they need to move quickly in order to get that drive from Juliet. Juliet turns to go, but Gloria grabs her and says, "You're the last Flamekeeper. You didn't ask for this, but now it's all on you. If this dies with you, then it dies for everybody." Juliet starts shaking her head, but Gloria says, "What would your mother think? I mean, did you ever ask why she killed herself?" And that's probably a question that Juliet's asked over and over again. But Juliet also needs to get the hell out of there, and she does. And when Judicial shows up, Juliet is long gone. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.